Noah, we last spoke at your studios for South by when you first
Yeah.
kind of gave us a little inkling of what was to come as well. I guess I want to begin kind of from there and ask, with the alien story being about hubris and greed so much, what is something new you kind of wanted to interject into Alien Earth, into this world when it came to
What's
points?
interesting, I mean, I think that when Ridley thought about greed, right, he thought about this nameless, faceless Weyland-Yutani corporation in which these individuals were like cogs in a machine, and there was no there in terms of who was making these decisions, right? And James Cameron introduced middle management, right, the Paul Reisers of the story, but they weren't really in positions of decision making or power. Um, but that's not really how capitalism works anymore. We have these technologists, these billionaire CEOs, who are at the front, these celebrity icons who are making decisions that sometimes almost seem whimsical, right? Changing from moment to moment. And it's a very different version of capitalism, and yet you still have these individuals who are at the whim of power. And so, when I looked at the story, I thought, well, the Ridley's version of capitalism doesn't really reflect the moment that we're in currently, but the dilemma remains the same.
And the series gives Noah an opportunity to really extrapolate that out, because those questions are posited in the film, but to see what the costs will be of the scientists who are helping formulate these creations of the creatures that we think we can utilize or weaponize. Again, one can see some very immediate correspondence to some of the intentions and profit motives and other sort of human realities and agendas that we're encountering in the film. So it's thrilling that he's not only literally brought it to Earth, but now we can begin to see at what cost some of these endeavors will be.
And then, David, I want to ask you too. As someone who is in the outside and also the producer has to look at the costs of things too. What was one of the things you could say that Noah was adamant about? That it was like a specific thing that needed to be 100% right, or else everything was not going to work, or something. Was there anything along those lines?
I never encountered it as a singular thing. I think what's been really sort of enthralling is to watch the way he works with his collaborative team and his creative team. And, in series television, I don't find you often get to work with or in support of somebody who has a vision that he or herself can fully realize, that he can be producer, writer, director, and knows all of those crafts, so that he's working on a very sort of determined pathway toward how he can ultimately execute and achieve those. And inevitably you run into all kinds of difficulties, financial and production or otherwise. But in some ways, I think the real test of a filmmaker and the real test of a craftsman is, well, then how do you then overcome those to still attain that objective, and in some ways, perhaps even something greater than you had originally imagined. So I think it's the singularity and clarity of his vision, as it will uniquely formulate itself once all
Right.
the other sort of artists come into play.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to catching the rest of these episodes when they let me. Until then, I will have hopes and dreams for synthetics. So
All
thank you
right.
very much and have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Pleasure.
Thanks.